Good evening and welcome to the Just Danny Show. I have some breaking news for you in regard to a city of Clermont, specifically a council member. As you are aware, earlier today, I was live at City Hall. I apologize for my mic poo-pooing out, but I did redo it and tease what was coming up this evening, so I apologize for that. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? I'll preface it again. Our city council members are running amok. As you are aware, might not be aware, the city of Miami has had some very corrupt shit going on. FBI is involved. FBI contacted me in regard to some of the shit going on here. I think it was kind of related, but I don't know. You know how the FBI is. So we know that city of Clermont is in trouble. It's a shit show. I like to call it the shit pit. Probably one of the most corrupt municipalities in Lake County, in my personal opinion. With that being said, I stumbled upon this completely by accident, this breaking news, if you will. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't told to me. I just happened to be looking somewhere and stumbled upon it. So lucky for you, this is a great celebration. Whether this goes anywhere or not, that's not the point. The point is somebody stepped up to the plate against these corrupt pieces of shit that we like to call our elected officials, and also city officials. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the documents. I'm going to go ahead and put up on the screen just the first page here in the complaint. Again, just to preface real quick, if you didn't see my live from City Hall earlier today, someone is suing Jim Purvis, council member Jim Purvis, in his official capacity. Now, I've said in the past, according to Florida statute, you can't sue an elected official because they have sovereign immunity unless you can prove actual malice. That's the key here. If you can prove actual malice, and that's kind of a heavy burden to bear to prove that in a lot of cases, even against regular Joes that aren't elected officials. So this is where he's able to sue based on malicious intent, but he has to prove that Jim Purvis was actually being malicious. So that would be up to the judge to decide if he was or not. But as you can see here, here's the front page. We've got Rod Geelan, and forgive me if I'm saying his last name incorrectly, Rob Geelan versus Jim Purvis. And again, in his capacity as a city council member, in his official capacity as Clermont City Council member, defendant. And now, as you see before that, it also does include City of Clermont. Okay, so this has been filed. It was filed November the 3rd, as you can see, at 12:04 p.m. It has been assigned a case number up at the right-hand, in the upper right-hand corner there. Of course, when he was filing this, he didn't know what case number it would be. Hence why there's not one there on the actual complaint itself. Another thing you're going to find interesting on this first page here of the complaint, and actually a demand for jury trial, which I'm so excited about, is this gentleman is pro se. Good for him. I was pro se against the city twice. The first time I won. The second time I wasn't so lucky, but on both cases I was pro se. And I think you're going to see more of this continuing on moving forward with regular Joe citizens, because they don't want to spend upwards of 15 grand on lawsuits, right? So they're going to, research and do their own legal documents and file their own cases. And a lot of these people, might have a law background, but not necessarily an attorney. So this gentleman is pro se. And again, he's suing the city of Clermont as well as Jim Purvis in his official capacity as Clermont City Council member. And this is an action for damages in the amount of $50,000, exclusive of interest, costs, attorney's fees, and it is within the jurisdiction of this court. Now, this is all just legal jargon that must be put into a complaint first and foremost before you get into the meat and potatoes. And so I've got this little pickup here for you, but the rest I'm not going to put on because I don't like messing with OBS. I'm not a big OBS fan, so and StreamYard cuts out all the time, where I can show my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and read the rest to you. I'm just going to bring this down in front of me here. So, statement of facts. This all started, really kind of funny and ironically, because I brought this up this past summer in regard to, remember, they started shutting down the comments on all of the city socials. We're talking the fire department, the police department, regular city of Clermont, across all of city of Clermont socials. All the comments have been disabled. I brought this up. I made a big deal about it. I FOIA requested as to, hey, whose fucking idea was this? Never really got, when the FOIA, the public records I did get in return never really told me too much. Go figure. So this gentleman seems to be on it. Now, I'm not saying that he, was watching my page or he follows my page. I've never actually, quite honestly, heard of this gentleman. But he obviously can see with his own two eyes had he visited, one of the city's socials and realized, hey, I can't comment. So under his statement of facts, it says, during the months of July and August of 2023, exact time I brought this bullshit up, Plaintiff Gielen, again, I'm sorry if I'm bastardizing this gentleman's name, has been contacting the city of Clermont council members and city leaders protesting the city's policy of disabling comments from the city's Facebook pages. The plaintiff believes the city of Clermont is purposely censoring communication from its taxpayers, from its taxpaying public by disabling the public's comments. I wholeheartedly agree. Now, this shit was going to happen. So, elected official scumbags, some of the city official scumbags, if you're watching this, you knew this shit was gonna come on to you. Well, fuck around and find out. And you fucked around and now you're finding out. So, moving on. Gielen justifies his protest because the city of Clermont's Facebook pages are legally the ownership of taxpayers, as they are monitored, altered, and created by city employees funded by, quote, our tax dollars, therefore should be accessible to public comments. Unfortunately, the plaintiff's grievances and objections of the city's policy of disabling comments on the city of Clermont Facebook pages have either been ignored or the city of Clermont has refused to change its policy. I say both, sir, because they're assholes. See, I'm going to stop right there, because if you can't contact your government, I'm talking have a conversation with your local government via email, Facebook, or by phone call, thereby cutting off all communications to your local government that you pay with your tax dollars, that is a violation. That's a violation right there of your rights. Okay? That is shutting down your communications, violating your right of free speech. Like, they won't respond to you. Okay? This is horse shit. Because they'll say, oh, well, if we cut down the social, across the socials, all the comments, well, you feel free to email us. Well, hey, motherfuckers, we do. And guess what? You don't acknowledge. So what are we to do as a local taxpayer? Go to public comments where you still legally don't have to acknowledge us and respond to us? So what are we left to do? Well, file a lawsuit. So after a number of attempts asking Clermont city leaders to change its policy, the plaintiff finally decided to drop the entire issue and move on. The plaintiff has always peacefully, non-threatening, and lawfully exercised his constitutional right of free speech and his right of petitioning the government for a redress of grievances protected under Florida statutes and, of course, the United States Constitution. Now, on September 25th, 2023, and in response to the plaintiff's protest, Purvis published an email to the plaintiff and to multiple third parties, and he has attached an Exhibit A, and I'll read that when we get to the exhibits. But what he means by multiple third parties is, of course, Purvis and all of his bourbon glory sauced up at midnight. And by the way, this email on September 25th was actually written at 11:15, kind of early for him. He usually starts vomiting all over everybody's pages and emails about 1, 2 a.m. So he must have been getting the party started early. So what he means by multiple third parties is because Jim Purvis, again, all his sauced up glory, decided to CC this email response to Mr. Geelan to, and I forget her name. I'll read it to you. Catherine, the little short old lady that sits in the front that was mocking all of us public commenters that one night, and I made a little short about it on Facebook. He CC'd it, of course, to Dumpster Baby Baltice, Brian Foreman, and there was another woman's name I didn't recognize, and it said 6 others, but when he prints it out and puts in the exhibit, I can't see the 6 others. I'm going to go ahead and guess he CC'd it to the council members and Dan. So anyways, in part states this Exhibit A, and we'll get to the full email shortly. Quote, now this is a quote in the email response from Purvis to Mr. Geelan. Quote, you are a pathetic person with a very, all in caps, warped mind, possibly worthy of further investigation as to your ability to coexist with the rest of us, in quotes, in our community, versus needing some, quote, serious professional help. Now, let's just dissect what he just said there. You're a pathetic person. Not really libeling, because we can't prove that he's pathetic in a court of law, so it's not libel, because this is written, by the way. Libel is written, spoken out of the mouth is slander, remember. So, you're a pathetic person. We can't prove that in a court of law, right? So, not really libel, just an opinion. But here's where it comes to get a little bit interesting. With a very warped mind. Now, could we prove that in a court of law? Perhaps. A warped mind, cuckoo, crazy. If you had somebody with a medical degree, psychologist or whatever, that could make that determination regarding somebody being psycho or crazy, probably you could. Let's just say you could. Possibly worthy of further investigation. Now, what does this mean exactly? Further investigation. Well, don't you kind of control a little bit about what the Clermont Police Department does? Council runs the city manager. City manager oversees the city of Clermont's police department. So it could trickle down like, hey, I want, piece of shit Broadway, fight me, because he is. More on that when I deem it necessary. Can we get piece of shit Broadway over here to go ahead and go after this guy? Let's investigate this guy. What does that mean exactly, Mr. Purvis? What does that mean? Sounds like you're weaponizing the CPD against citizens. And it doesn't just stop here, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. And needing some serious professional help. Well, who is he, once again, to determine whether this gentleman needs serious professional help? So you see where this is going. Purvis's email containing false and threatening statements, the threatening statement being further investigation. What does that mean? You're going to have the popo come after me? Statements became public record pursuant to Chapter 119 of Florida statute. Yes, it did, because he's responding using the city email to Mr. Geelan. Also, he's CCing it to other folks. It becomes public record. Therefore, the entire United States could pull this information and see his reaction to Mr. Geelan chastising him, right? So now it's become public record. Purvis, a city council member of Clermont, made a credible threat, having the ability and power to cause harm to private individuals having control over the Clermont Police Department, other city departments, and personnel. Yes, he does, because he is over, like all council members, is over the city manager, and the city manager is over staff. So, chain of command with directives, okay? Purvis, under oath, swore to uphold the laws of Florida and the United States, Exhibit B. So he puts that little oath in Exhibit B, which, again, I'll read to you shortly. Purvis violated his oath of office by interfering with one's constitutional rights, making credible threats, and defamation of a private citizen. He has failed to faithfully perform at all times his duties as a Florida public servant in a professional and lawful manner. Now, if we get down to the nitty-gritty, none of them are professional and lawful up there. They're all running amok. They're all fucking disgusting. Purvis just happened to get caught. He has failed to abide by the standards of conduct required by chapters 112.51 subsection 1 and 350.041 subsection G and H of Florida statutes. A formal complaint will be forthcoming to the state of Florida. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with the state attorney's office, because I've turned over a plethora of evidence, or as Broadway likes to call it, plethora of evidence to the state attorney for, you know, tangible in just tangible evidence, okay? Not circumstantial shit, and they've yet to do anything. So just saying, good luck with that, Mr. Gielan. I know your heart's in the right place, but who do you tell when everybody's in on it? Am I right? Purvis's comments were threatening, degrading, false, defamatory, and interfered with the plaintiff's protected right under Florida Statute 4, freedom of speech. The sole purpose, now here's where he covers his ass. Remember I told you in the beginning, in order to go after an elected official, because generally they have sovereign immunity, is if you can prove a malicious intent. So this is where he kind of covers his ass here. The sole purpose of his publication was to injure plaintiff with malice. The city of Clermont is vicarious liable for the aforementioned false defamatory statements and threats published by Purvis to third parties, people he CC'd, as Purvis was acting in the course and scope of his employment as Clermont City Council member. Now here, just for my research into the statutes and so forth, and my take is he's not employed by the city of Clermont. I mean, he's not. Does he get paid with our tax dollars to sit up there and be an asshole like the rest of them? Sure. So I need to see how he's going to argue this, especially being pro se. How is he going to argue this? Because he is an elected official. He's not actually an employee. Do you see where I'm going with this? So, I mean, I could see the argument where he does get paid with tax dollars, therefore maybe. But I'm going to say, just based on my opinion, which doesn't mean shit to anybody but me, I'm thinking that is not going to fly per se. But we'll see how it goes. As a direct and proximate result of Purvis's false statements, Gielan has suffered shame, mortification, infliction of emotional distress, injury to feelings, and major depressive disorder. Because of the complete lack of response or concern from the city of Clermont as to the threats, constitutional violations, along with defamation, the plaintiff is forced to file this lawsuit for his own protection, fully documenting these egregious events and threats with the court. If any harm is to come to the plaintiff or his family, this account of events will serve as evidence. Now, I want to also talk about this. Because of the complete lack of response. Now, within his exhibits, he puts in this complaint that he did, in fact, write a letter to the city attorney, the city manager, and I believe I'll have to, when I scroll down here, I think I want to say also the council members in regard to these threats and constitutional violations. He reached out to all of these folks, puts it in the exhibit as proof that he did reach out to them. And in here, line 23 of the complaint is literally stating because of lack of complete response. What the fuck is wrong with our elected officials and our city official dumpster baby ball ties? This is why everybody fucking hates you people. I'm talking to the council members and some of the city officials. This is why we fucking hate you. How do you not respond to this dude? He's literally filing a formal complaint against as an elected official. And ultimately, he is also holding the city of Clermont culpable for Purvis's actions. And he gets no response. Not a fuck you, not in our purview, out of our jurisdiction, nothing. No response. Zero. Zero. This is why, Boltice, this is why Shady Pines, why you have people that are so frustrated, so disgusted, so hateful toward you, all of you, because you do not respond. You know why you don't respond? 2 reasons. Either because you're guilty or because you're too fucking stupid and lazy to respond. That right there pissed me off. So now he's going to go into the defamation, count 1, because there's a couple of counts here against Purvis. Count 1, defamation. Plaintiff is going to go ahead and reaffirm and realigns the allegation contained in paragraphs 1 through 23 as fully set forth. The 1 through 23, just what I read you. This action is against the defendant Purvis for defamation. Purvis published false and defamatory statements, Exhibit A, about Gielan to third parties in part, quote, "You're a pathetic person with a very warped mind." Purvis's statements were made with a reckless disregard for whether the statements were true or not. Can you prove that he has a warped mind? Are you a medical doctor, Jim Purvis, where you can state that in a court of law and definitively make that determination against him? Are you? When did you get a medical degree? The defendant Purvis does not possess, here you go, does not possess a medical degree in order to determine one's mental ability or lack thereof. Bingo, bitch, right there. Again, it's not libel or slander unless you can prove it true or false in a court of law. If you're going to say someone's cuckoo, yeah, that's provable. That's provable if you have a medical degree or some sort of degree to make that determination for somebody. Purvis's publication and assertions were made with actual malice in an attempt to cast the plaintiff Gielan ill repute, to destroy confidence in his integrity, and or to cause like injury to. Gielan is a decent retired senior citizen within his community. I looked this guy up. He's approximately 71 years old. So yes, I guess that would be considered a senior citizen, right? Anything after 65. So this guy is an older dude. Not quite as ancient and corpse-like as Purvis, but still older. He is well educated with a background including engineering, manufacturing U.S. military tanks and aircraft, commercial-grade simulators for Japan Airlines and U.S. Airlines, among others. Gielan has received high military security clearances from both the U.S. government and billion-dollar U.S. military contractors. Gielan's background also includes marketing manager for such major corporations as Canon USA and Sharp Electronics. Gielan is committed to pay back to society, having participated in the Big Brother program, and has enjoyed a respected position in a Rotary Club for many years, among other charitable organizations. City of Clermont is vicarious liable for the aforementioned statements and threats published by Purvis because such false statements were published by Purvis to third parties while Purvis was acting in the course and scope of his employment as City of Clermont council member and a city employee. Again, I'm going to question that a little bit because he's not a city employee, and as a council member, he is an elected official. Not sure that falls within the scope of actual employment, but we shall see where this goes. Doesn't make his efforts any less important, or like, to me, it should still fly because, except for maybe that part, but we'll see what the judge says. Does it really matter? He's still an elected official. He could still sue Purvis as an elected official, again, if he can prove malice. So I don't know if those little city employee things are really going to matter. Maybe, I don't know. Line 33, as a direct and proximate result of Purvis's published false and threatening statements, Gielan has suffered shame, mortification, infliction of emotional distress, injury to feelings, and major depressive disorder. So the plaintiff is reserving the right to seek an award of compensatory and punitive damages against defendants upon proper motion in accordance with Florida Statute 768.72. And I think he was asking $50,000. Defamation of character, count 2, also against Purvis. And he's just going to go ahead and reiterate what I just read to you under this title. You are a pathetic person with a very warped mind. Again, reckless disregard. He does not possess a medical degree to clinically determine one's mental ability or lack thereof. He made these with actual malice. Purvis's emails became public record pursuant to Chapter 119. Again, he touts that he is a decent retired private citizen. Again, he says City of Clermont is vicarious liable for the aforementioned statements and threats published by Purvis. As a direct and proximate result of Purvis's statements, Gielan has suffered shame, mortification. Again, and now he's got count 3, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Again, he's going to go ahead and reaffirm all of his allegations through in paragraphs 1 through 23, as I previously read to you. And then he specifically points out under this count 3, you were a pathetic person with a very warped mind, possibly worthy of further investigation as to your ability to coexist with the rest of us in our community versus needing some serious professional help. Again, he reiterates the vicarious libel for the aforementioned statements against the city of Clermont. He said Purvis's statements using his authority as Clermont City Council member under the color of law published false, libelous, defamatory, and threatening statements against the plaintiff. Defendant with malice intentionally caused infliction of emotion, distress, and fear upon the plaintiff. Again, he says he, deserves to seek an award for punitive damages. Count 4, violation of Section 4 freedoms. Plaintiff, again, reaffirms the paragraphs 1 through 23 that I've already read to you. So he's saying under this as well, Purvis's published statements threaten and interfere with the plaintiff's protected rights under Section 4, freedom of speech of the Florida Constitution out of malice. Purvis purposely threatened the plaintiff in order to silence him from further exercising his constitutional right of free speech. Purvis's published statements created an unethical environment, an environment of fear which undermines the government in numerous ways. Most damaging result is scaring an honest citizen, Gielan, away from participation in government. I'm going to stop right there. Most damaging result is scaring an honest citizen away from participation in government. Now, for those of you that have been following me a while, you know exactly what I'm going to say here. Scaring an honest citizen for participation in government. Who does this every fucking meeting prior to reading public comments? Not threatening, scaring, bodily harm or anything like that, but basically a deterrent. Who does this? Murray. He reads his stupid, fucked up statement about, in a nutshell. Now, I'm not going to say it verbatim. I'm not that good with memorization of his scripts that they write for him. But in a nutshell, basically, you can't talk shit about us. Don't do it, or anybody else in this town. Now, please come up and, exercise your right of freedom of speech. I mean, he hasn't said the freedom of speech, but you know what I mean? I'm being, sarcastic in that part there. He reads that off every time. Don't speak ill of us. Don't talk shit about us or anybody else. That is deterring somebody from participating in their government, because what if they had a speech written out and it talks shit about Taco Bell giving them the shits when they eat their burritos or something? Or maybe every time he sees Murray, he gets the shits. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's a deterrent. So they're like, oh shit, if I can't talk ill about my government, so unconstitutional. Or anybody else in this town for that matter, I guess I can't go up. I guess the speech that I wrote for the last 2 days is like moot now because I can't go up there because Murray said I can't. This guy is on point. Purvis by and through his official city address, J. Purvis at ClermontFL.org, as having the position as Clermont City Council member, published a threat in part, quote, possibly worthy of further investigation as to your ability to coexist with the rest of us and our community. So Gielan has justifiable fear that unlawful, hateful, and retaliatory actions will be taken against him. We see it all the time. I'm going to be reading a statement since this came out. I'm going to be reading a statement against another resident that is being targeted. And as you all are aware, I brought this to your attention. CPD officer Dennis Hall, son-in-law to the douchebag Darren Johnson, took it upon himself on fucking duty that we pay for him to be patrolling our streets, took it upon himself to sit behind me in an almost empty council room the whole duration of the council meeting when he should have been on the streets fucking patrolling. FOIA requested what he was doing because he was on duty. Emailed Piece of Shit Broadway. Did I get a response from Piece of Shit Broadway? No, I did not. Am I surprised? No, I am not. This is what these fucktards are doing with the CPD. That's just my experience. Again, I have somebody else that came forward and I'm going to read their statement. But anyway, so this guy is in justifiable fear. What does that mean? Are you going to sick the PD after me and investigate me? Your words, not mine. So again, Gielan has justifiable fear that unlawful, hateful, and retaliatory actions will be taken against him if he further exercises his constitutional rights, which again is speaking ill of the government. Whether that be local or on a higher level, doesn't matter. That is our constitutional right. You are an elected official. If you can't handle the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen. And that goes for Michelle Pines too, because she has a problem with people talking shit about her sweaty ass. It is not unreasonable and well documented, it is not unreasonable and well documented in this day and age that unethical and corrupt government officials take revenge against private citizens out of malice and forethought, using their positions in government to cause harm, fear, and intimidation against private citizens. Oh, can I get an amen? Yes, they do. And this is what I've been telling y'all for months. This is what's happening even on our local levels, folks. Our local levels, assholes are doing this, okay? Our local people are doing this. I mean, I liken our administration all the time to Biden, the Biden administration. This is what they're doing to us. This is what they're doing. Purvis took an oath of office before entering upon his duties as Clermont council member, Exhibit B, well, we'll get into that exhibit, stating, quote, "I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida, et cetera, et cetera." Now, we're going to pause here again. You know what's really comical about this whole fucking thing is last week, last Tuesday, when our latest Democrat was sworn in. By the way, Purvis is a registered Republican, but clearly a rhino. Our last Democrat got sworn in, and Chandra Myers, FYI, has again donated to Act Blue 38 times since 2019. Fact. He was served his summons from this gentleman, well, by the Lake County Sheriff's Officer. He was served a summons for this lawsuit the day after he took his oath. Because remember, even though he didn't have any opposition, they still required him to say do his swearing in bullshit. And he had the feel goods going on. Everybody was just so happy. Next day, bam! City Hall and Purvis get a summons. I just thought that was fucking hilarious because he literally just did his oath again. Line 58, or paragraph 58, if you will. Purvis has violated his oath of office and failed the standards of conduct required of him by chapters 112 and 350 Florida statutes. Purvis, as city council member, has made credible threats having the authority and ability to investigate a private citizen through the Clermont Police Department. Yes, he does. Now, while, again, elected officials don't have authority in the first degree, or if you will, over the police department, they do in the way that I've just said previously, but I'll say it again, because council is over the city manager. The city manager is over staff. Staff is the PD. Staff is the fire department. Staff is human resources, right? But who's ultimately over the city manager? Who's over those folks? The assholes that get elected, right? So in essence, through chain of command, yes, he does. Just like the rest of those fucking clowns up there. They absolutely do have the authority to have somebody investigated over through the CPD. Absolutely. And for them to say they don't, they're a fucking liar. Paragraph 60, the defendant Purvis, a city council member, additionally threatened the plaintiff by making himself judge and jury where the plaintiff has the ability to coexist with the rest of us. Dominus ominous, you may not coexist with us. You are very warped. Purvis threatened the plaintiff as to possibly banishing him from the city of Clermont. I mean, he's not wrong. Think about it. Quote, worthy of further investigation as to your ability to coexist with the rest of us. He's going to investigate whether he is of sound mind and body to even coexist with the rest of us here in the community. Therefore, if he's not, if he does have him investigated and they determine he's not, are they going to excommunicate him from the city of Clermont? Excommunicado or whatever from John Wick. I mean, really, this guy's not wrong, okay? Paragraph 61, Purvis's threats were and still are credible threats, as he still is employed as a high-ranking city official and employee of the city of Clermont. Again, I question that just because he's an elected official. But again, I'm sure, that it could be argued, maybe not. Paragraph 62, as a direct and proximate result of Purvis's published statements, Gielan has suffered, again, here we go, fear, severe emotional, physical, and psychological harm. This guy's a senior citizen. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And again, he reiterates in this last claim here, City of Clermont is vicarious liable for the aforementioned publication. Count 5, libel. And then he just kind of reaffirms everything he just said because it is libel, because again, it's written. He's again reiterating that they're false and they're malicious with the intent to harm the plaintiff and with a reckless disregard to the truth. Again, he's suffered emotional distress. The publication of libelous emails by the defendant constituted libel, and therefore no actual damages need be pleaded or provided in order to entitle the plaintiff to recover damages, including punitive damages. Again, he reiterates City of Clermont is vicarious liable. He's asking for punitive damages. Count 6. We're up to the 6th count against Purvis, gross negligence. Again, he's reaffirming everything that he just said. The City of Clermont was, is, and continues to be grossly negligent with reckless disregard for the safety and rights of the plaintiff, as the City of Clermont has not taken any actions against the perpetrator, Purvis. Maybe we should call him Perpetrator Purvis. Purvis the perpetrator, perpetrating Purvis. True. The City of Clermont is grossly negligent. They're always grossly negligent because they don't protect their citizens. You know why? Because the fucking City of Clermont are the damn perpetrators. They're not going to protect you because they are the fucking perpetrators. As a direct and proximate result of Purvis's false statements, Gielan has suffered, again, mortification, infliction of emotional distress. It's very repetitive. So, count 7, civil conspiracy. Again, he's reaffirming everything he said. City officials disdained the fact that a private citizen was suggesting how to run the city's Facebook pages. This outraged many of the city leaders. The plaintiff filed a formal complaint. Again, remember I was talking about the formal complaint that went unanswered and unacknowledged or whatever. He put that in Exhibit C, and we'll read that here shortly. So he did file a formal complaint, Exhibit C, against Purvis with the City of Clermont. The City of Clermont failed to investigate credible, factual, written threats made by Purvis, thereby willfully conspiring with Purvis against the plaintiff. Now, I think the question here thus far is, where do we draw the line? I'm not really trying to play devil's advocate here. I'm not. I'm just trying to look at the totality here of the evidence and then put it against statute and what the statute says. Since I'm not quite sure that Purvis would be considered an employee because he's an elected official. So there's that. So because I believe that, just based on the plain language of the statute, where do we draw the line with, now just hear me out, the City of Clermont's, for them to control Purvis, if you will. Like their responsibility to like pull the reins in on this council member. Because again, remember, the council is the highest authority with the city. No one is above council except the governor. Okay, I've learned this. I've learned this over the years. No one tells council what to do. So this is going to get into a little bit of murky waters legally, in my opinion. Again, it's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But in my opinion, I think we're entering a little bit of murky waters, because where do we draw the line to where City of Clermont in general is responsible for the demeanor and actions of an elected official? I think that's where he's going to fall short of maybe anything happening per se with this case. Not to say that he doesn't have legitimate allegations and concerns against Purvis, because even though with the sovereign immunity, I believe that Jim Purvis is very malicious, and you can prove him being malicious. So in that capacity, I think it's fine. I'm just worried about him dragging the city of Clermont into this because, again, I don't feel like he's an employee. He's an elected official. Again, unless there's an attorney but he's pro se, can argue otherwise. And again, to reiterate, where do we draw the line where the city of Clermont is responsible for the demeanor and actions of an elected official when in fact, city council is above the city? Do you see where I'm going with this? Very questionable. Again, not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm just trying to break this down and to understand it and where it could be headed. City of Clermont band together with Purvis, purposely neglecting to address the safety concerns and threats made by Purvis. The city of Clermont being complicit as to the safety concerns of a citizen. Again, where do we draw the line with their responsibility for what he does? As a direct and proximate result of Purvis's false statements and conspiracy, Gillen has again suffered mortification, infliction of emotional distress, blah, 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 blah. His relief, of course, is he wants punitive and compensatory damages pursuant to Florida statute, which he would be able to get. These egregious actions by government officials under the color of law, violating the Florida Constitution rights of the plaintiff out of malice, must be severely dealt with, sending a clear message to both the city of Clermont and council member Purvis that this must never happen again, and responsible parties will be held fully accountable. I wholeheartedly agree, because that's why I was so excited. Again, whether this case goes anywhere or nothing happens, or it's, the judge dismisses it, I don't give a shit. This to me is sending a clear message, and it's about time. A clear message to the council members and even the dumpster baby that runs the actual city staff, Bull Ties, sending a clear message that, fuck you, we're not taking this shit anymore. And guess what? We're not fucking dumb. This guy is pro se writing this shit up, okay? We're not fucking dumb. And we will fight back, and we will stand up for our fucking rights, and we will hold you accountable. Again, if this goes nowhere, just the publicity that this is going to garner alone is going to show these fucks that we're paying attention. And if this happens to not go anywhere, it's only a matter of time before another lawsuit comes up where we'll go somewhere. And then he also is filing an injunction to stop tortious false statement. So plaintiff moves the court to file an injunction against the city of Clermont, its city employees and city council members, preventing anyone from publishing, emailing, forwarding, and or voicing any false statements verbally or in writing about the plaintiff now and forever. In other words, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. All of you. And if he finds out about it, if the judge complies and does this injunction and they happen to violate this injunction, well, then they're in some deep shit. But I highly doubt Purvis can keep his fucking mouth shut. He will probably go off on this guy. He's probably slandering and libeling him right now as we speak, since he got served with the summons. So plaintiff further demands that the city of Clermont removes all emails and other communications and comments from its record regarding Rod, which is what this guy goes by. His name is Rodney, but he goes by Rod, and Purvis, including past, present, and forwarded emails. That's interesting. I've never heard of that. I hope he gets what he wants. This is the fun part. Injunction to remove Purvis. Because of the egregious acts of threats, defamation, and violating the Florida constitutional rights of the plaintiff by Purvis under the color of law, plaintiff moves the court to immediately remove Purvis from his position as Clermont City Council member. Now, I'm going to go ahead and reiterate the statute and for the clear language of the statute. Again, the only one that can forcibly remove an elected official from office would be the governor. And he's too busy out campaigning for presidency that he'll never get. But anyway, that's the only person that can forcibly remove an elected official. To my knowledge, again, it's my opinion upon reading the statute, what I've read in the book statutes. The only person that's able to do that, it doesn't say anywhere else in that statute that a judge can, unless there's a statute that I've missed, and I'm not saying that there's not, but from what I've seen, the only person that can remove forcibly an elected official would be the governor of Florida himself. Ballsy move, though. And again, I might be wrong. There might be some other statutes, some other language that I didn't read or didn't comprehend properly, but I'm just going to put that out there. So pursuant to Florida Statute 350.05, oath of office, Purvis took an oath of office before entering upon his duties as Clermont council member, Exhibit B. Purvis has violated his oath of office and failed the standards of conduct required of him by chapters 112 and 350. Florida statutes, therefore, Purvis should be disqualified, resigned, or dismissed from office. Okay, well, there you go. Maybe I'll have to go in and read that. Okay, so maybe he can. I definitely want to go back and read that. Yeah, because I had just said unless there's another statute out there I'm not aware of. So now I am quite interested to go and read that and see if he can in fact make him resign. Prayer for jury trial. So he comes now and hereby is demanding a jury trial on all issues triable. Okay, so we're going to go to Exhibit A. Now, there is no context here. And as far as we were all under the assumption after reading that complaint that he was reaching out to city staff, city council members, with no response, of course. In regards specifically to them removing comments. That was my take. I'm guessing it was your take after reading the complaint to you, that was in fact his email, and his complaint was regarding that. So when Purvis starts talking about pervert, and I'll get to that because I'm going to read this, I don't know. I'm lost. There's no context to that. Did this gentleman make a Facebook comment elsewhere that I'm not aware of? I actually cannot find this gentleman on Facebook at all. Not even his wife, unless they're under different names on Facebook. I don't know. But I couldn't find him at all on Facebook. So I don't know if it was a Facebook comment. I'm guessing not, because he doesn't have a Facebook page that I can see of, at least under his name. So I'm trying to get some context to this about why Purvis was mentioning the word pervert. And I'm going to go ahead and read it. So this is an email dated Monday, September 25th, this year, of course, at 11:13 p.m. Of course. Pour me my bourbon, bitch. Bourbon, bitch. And this is where his fun begins until about 2 a.m. He sent this email, CC'd it to Rod himself. I'm sorry, he didn't even CC it. I apologize for that. He literally hardcore organically emailed it to. There was no CCs. So to Rod, which is the gentleman that in question here, the plaintiff, Lori Wyndham, Brian Bultice, Kristen Fortuna, who I have no idea who that is, Brian Foreman, and 6 more. And it just goes ... because this was a printout that he uploaded, so I can't see. But I'm going to go ahead and gather it was the attorney and then the other council idiot members. So here's Jim. I make it a rule, in quotes, mine, to not, all caps, to respond to such idiotic and baseless comments directed to city council. And even almost always, big caps, to personal attacks made by some keyboard commando such as yourself. That said, Rod, you have now attacked me personally, big caps, when you refer to me as a pervert. Quotes. Again, I don't know. I don't have any context for this. I don't know what he's talking about. Was it a Facebook comment? Did he literally say pervert in his initial fucking email? I don't know, because he didn't put his own first email to everybody in the exhibit. I don't know. He says, that's fine, to each his opinion. You made the accusation. Now it's your burden to prove it. I can just hear this email in real time, because Purvis, he's a shit show. And I hereby challenge you to do that, or post a retraction of your comments concerning me immediately, including an apology posted on the same site you posted your fake accusations. Okay, so again, the same site, apology, comments, Facebook? Do I have a record of same? Do I have a trail of such ugly accusation? No! All in caps. Step up, you keyboard warrior, and make a basis for your personal attack on my name, my reputation, and that of my family by reference of my last name. So he's trying to say here, just because you used my last name, Jim Purvis, you're also attacking his family. Okay, you're grasping at straws there, motherfucker. You are a pathetic person with a very warped mind, possibly worthy of further investigation as to your ability to coexist with the rest of us in our community versus needing some serious professional help. My personal attorney and I will await your path of decision. Bravo. Give this old, decrepit, fucking, like, zombie at this point an award for that performance. Like I said, I could literally just hear him saying all that shit because Purvis. And then, of course, Exhibit B, he's got the off the oath here. I solemnly swear to farmers support, protect, obey, and uphold the laws of the city of Clermont, the county of Lake, the state of Florida, the United States of America, that I am qualified to fill the office of council member of the city of Clermont, that I take this obligation freely, that I will perform the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter to the best of my ability and understanding. He pulled it. This is old. This is from November 2021. So, but it's the same thing every year. Exhibit C. Now, Exhibit C, this is where he filed a complaint, a formal notice to a complaint against Jim Purvis to the mayor, the city council, and legal department. Okay, remember I wasn't sure earlier. I said I think maybe the council members. So it's strictly here. It says Clermont mayor, city council, and legal department. Again, this is going to be for the attorneys and him being pro se to duke it out, or the judge to think about. Where's, since he's not an actual employee, where is the city of Clermont's actual responsibility to control this crazy man? And I can say that because I'm an average Joe and he's an elected official, just to set that record straight. That's not slander, because I don't have to prove it because he's an elected official and we are allowed to speak shit about elected officials. You're welcome. Anyways, this was dated October 2nd of this year. Formal notice of complaint. And this was his complaint. He says in this complaint, on September 25th, 2023, Clermont City Council member Jim Purvis wrote an email to Rod. He gives his email address. The Purvis email contained threats, intimidation, interference with Rod's constitutional rights, threat of possible investigation from a city official and or the city of Clermont, and other serious issues, all while Purvis was working under the color of the law for the city of Clermont. This making the city of Clermont and Jim Purvis council member liable. These comments have violated the constitutional rights of Rod. As the city of Clermont has now been fully apprised of this issue, Rod requests the city of Clermont, along with their legal department, investigate this matter, file this notice of complaint in his personnel file. Doesn't have a personnel file. Again, elected official. Along with the result of the investigation, whereby it can be FOIA requested in the future. Rod further requests City Council member Purvis do the honorable thing for the people of Clermont and resign from his position as City Council member. I agree. I think he should I think all of them should fucking resign. And remove his name from the forthcoming election in order to save the city from further embarrassment and prevent forthcoming legal action against the city of Clermont and Jim Purvis. Sincerely, Rod. So that, in a nutshell, is his complaint. If you kind of delve in here to the docket, you're going to see requests to produce. So he's in this request to produce. They ask a myriad of questions to the defendant and that they must answer. And this summons is giving him 20 days, by the way, to answer all of this shit. Then there's some notice of interrogatories, again, asking them to admit certain things. I find a lot of those interesting, and he's on point, and he's pretty thorough because he literally asked Jim Purvis in these interrogatories to list all of his certifications, professional or otherwise, his medical degrees. I mean, this guy's good. This guy knows what he's talking about, like, as far as that goes. Again, I don't know about the, get that out of my way there. Oh, and just FYI, nobody has put in, so let me bring this back down. Let me see, because I looked at this last night. Lastly, there's no other entries. So no one's filed a notice of appearance on behalf of Purvis. Notice of appearance just strictly means, hey, I'm attorney Joe Blow and I'm representing Dickhead. That's a notice of appearance. So nobody has filed a notice of appearance on behalf of Purvis. So, and then my question is, because he's acting in his official capacity as an elected official, would Dan be representing him or somebody from Dan's law firm? And they would pay for that. Essentially, the taxpayers would be paying for his attorney. I don't know. He did say in the email, my personal attorney will be waiting for your response or whatever. So who knows? But no notice of appearance has been issued, filed. Again, he was served on November 15th. It's stating here he was served on November 15th. So it's been a week or so. So no response, nothing. So we shall see where it goes. And again, even if it goes nowhere, I'm still super excited that this is happening, because we're proving to them that we're taking a stance now. And we're pissed off, we're frustrated, we're disgusted, and that they literally are running amok. A lot of municipalities, again, I'll direct your attention back to down in Miami. These council members and commissioners are running amok. They're doing corrupt, shitty, egregious, disgusting things right in everybody's view, because no one wants to hold them accountable. State attorneys won't do it because they're either lazy or they're understaffed. I don't know what the fuck their problem is, especially when you hand them over evidence pretty much on a silver platter and a big red bow, and they don't have to do much fucking work. You got state legislatures, giving you the impression they're trying to help you. Whether that's true or not, I don't fucking know at this point. I don't trust any of them. You can sit here and feed me bullshit all day long just to shut me up. But at the end of the day, can I even trust you? Like, are you really doing anything about it? Have you really talked to the state attorney? Did you really talk to the FDLE? I don't know at this point. I don't even know what's fact anymore when it comes to what comes out of somebody's fucking mouth. Unless I see it on paper, filed somewhere with the court. Do you know what I'm saying? But again, regardless, I just want to keep reiterating that, because don't be deterred. Whether this guy has anything happen with this or not, or they dismiss it or whatever, it's proving that we're starting to stand up and we're starting to hold them accountable, or trying to hold them accountable, putting their bullshit out there for the public view to see. And that moving forward, this is going to be set a precedent, whether they dismiss it or not. It will set a precedent for future lawsuits. It costs what was it, $400? Yeah, $400 to file a lawsuit. Cost me $469 when I filed my writ. Must have come down in price, or because it's a different type of lawsuit, maybe. Yeah, it's civil. Civil must be $29 or $69 cheaper. But do you see what I'm saying? This is setting a precedent. Now, again, I promised you that I'd be reading a statement. Hot off the press. Did you see that? Yeah, there. Printer there. About somebody else that's come forward in regard to this whole mess. Because it's not just happening to this Rod Geelan. Okay? It's happened to all of us. Again, Dennis Hall sitting right behind me. And every time I turn around, he was just staring at me like he wanted to fucking choke me out. So here is a statement that I received from a person that is found out about this and wants to make a statement. So here we go. After I read this, and then I'll let you guys go baste your turkey. I, along with my family, have experienced retaliation, targeting, defamation, slander, and discrimination due to a current member of City Council's glaring lack of emotional stability. January of 2022, my spouse and I questioned a poor decision that City Council made. Within a month of us questioning Council's poor decision-making, a member of Council began slandering our reputations and defaming our character to other Clermont residents and business owners. As tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, we are appalled at the childish behavior and vindictiveness of an elected official whose job it is to work in the best interest of Clermont residents. January of 2023, my spouse and I were threatened by proxy. A threat was issued by a third party indicating that we are going to be living on the streets homeless with our children. A serious threat was made against our entire family because we had the nerve to question a council member and the dereliction of duty by a collective council. My spouse and I have been ignored repeatedly. This guy too. We're always ignored. We're all ignored. When raising concerns about this retaliation, defamation, discrimination, slander, and targeting, we have been told that the city is not liable. This is a false statement, as we now know otherwise. Again, maybe they're not liable because they're not employees. I don't know. I'm up in the air about that. I don't know. We shall see. We have watched as council members scoff and smirk at valid resident concerns. I get that all the time. Remember that? Last time I went up in public comments, I had to tell Michelle she better shut her mouth. Sorry, we have watched as council members scoff and smirk at valid resident concerns, and we cringe at the incompetence as our wonderful city suffers at the hands of people who spend valuable time harassing and stalking taxpayers instead of doing the jobs they were each elected to do. Mid-year of 2023, our family experienced selective enforcement and targeting at the request of the aforementioned council member with possible involvement of a high-ranking city official. I will not outline the details of this situation for legal reasons, but it has become clear to me that this angry council member has no intention of stopping. While we are not happy that another citizen has been targeted, meaning this Gielan gentleman, we are supportive of his decision to move forward with the lawsuit seeking monetary compensation for his emotional distress at the hands of a city council member at the city of Clermont. We stand united with him and wish him the best while he stands against corruption. And I'm sure this person isn't the only person. Well, they're saying their entire family and their spouse, which that would be inclusive. So I'm interested to know if any of y'all are experiencing any of this. If y'all are, reach out to me. You can do it anonymously. You know I don't ever throw anyone under the bus. I wouldn't be doing this for almost 5 years if I did. So message me, email me. All my contact information is on my Facebook page. I literally could see a class action coming against specifically council members. Maybe the city. I don't know. Again, I'm going to have to contact an attorney and see. And I have to go back and read that one statute that he mentioned that I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe. As far as removing Purvis, forcibly removing Purvis from being a council member. But I just, again, if you read the statute, it's to me, it's clear. But again, lots of shit in the Florida statutes have been clear to me, but are essentially just a framework for attorneys, high-dollar attorneys, to argue and change it. Change a judge's view on it. I don't know. Yeah, I've run into that a lot. That's why the Florida statutes and I just don't get along, because most of it is gray matter. They're not very clear, but then a lot of the language can be clear, and that clear language they still try to muck it up and say, well, no, you know. And so again, it's just to me, all the Florida laws are just a framework for high dollar attorneys to argue otherwise. Because at the end of the day, it's the court's decision. So, which would be a judge. So there's that. And so I really hated to bother y'all because it is the day before Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving Eve to each and every one of you and your family. And I'm sorry you live in a shit pit run by absolute disgusting amoebas on the bottom of your shoe. That are, you know, and I hate to use this liberal term, but there are legit bullies, because that's what they are. And they do it in plain view. They have no fucking problem anymore because nobody holds them accountable. They're untouchable. They're untouchable. You know, when the city manager can literally walk up in a crowded atmosphere and literally threaten a business owner, saying, you better do this or I'll make you do this. I won't get into logistics of it. That's pretty fucking sick. Inappropriate and disgusting. And yet he's living his best life up there, making $180,000 of your money to continue to act like that. And then our council members, they're just as fucking gross. So anyways, it just tickles me. This kind of made my Thanksgiving holiday. That this is even happening to Purvis. And, you know, on a side note, the city of Clermont's having to deal with it. Again, even if it gets dismissed or whatever, who gives a fuck? It's still publicity about them being fucking idiots. And I still think it's comical and funny, and literally was so excited when I read this last night. So anyways, again, happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. Enjoy your food. Don't eat too much. And I highly recommend wearing Thanksgiving pants to the table, which are also known as sweatpants.